Six lines from the bottom, on page Tes Zayin.
Tes Zayin?
Mm-hmm. The line starts with the word Vo'ish.
How many lines from the bottom?
6. Okay. So we're in a new phase of this whole discussion of Rotze V'Shuv. And that is that the Rotze V'Shuv individually, as they stand in their own tendency, in their own nature, so to speak, even though one allows for the other, sometimes one brings the other, but this is not a real hiskalus where they are truly interrelated, and it would be an imperative, it would be something that would join them together automatically.
Rabbi Paltiel, could you just move the phone a little closer to where you are? It's not very loud this morning.
All right, how's now?
See how it goes?
Where's your speaker here?
The microphone.
Microphone is here.
Okay, maybe I'll put it this way. Okay. So this is not a truly a hiskalus. You have to remember that hachayus rotze v'shuv. Now this is chayus. Chayus means life. And as I pointed out many times in the past, in life there cannot be an interruption and resumption. It's a continuous reality. Therefore, if life consists of rotze v'shuv, it cannot be a rotze, and then the rotze stops and the shuv picks up from some other initiation, some other cause. Therefore, it has to be that the rotze v'shuv are joined together in a perfect union, even in perfect union. And that is the thing that we're trying to understand, because in fact, rotze v'shuv are opposite tendencies. As we have described clearly, that yes, indeed, one brings to the other and so forth, but they're really opposite tendencies. Rotze is a tendency where one is pursuing something with his seichel, with his midas, with his ahava. Shuv is where this comes back to him. He's taking it to him in his own realm. It's a completely different tendency. And as we've described, that sometimes, in certain circumstances, the shuv is actually a break away from the rotz, and you have to actually find a different impetus, a different cause for it. It cannot be that the the full realization of the rotzu is the shuv. It doesn't happen. I mean, sometimes you have to. The shuv comes because you realize that the ultimate rotzen ho'elin, kavonas ho'elin, is in the shuv, which is not what you have been pursuing during the rotzu at all. Therefore, there has to be something that truly unites these two aspects. Now, just to put again this in full perspective, the inyan of Rotze V'Shuv, as we have pointed out throughout these weeks of learning it, the shuv is dependent on the rotze to be recognizing what it is actually taking back with it. Shuv means you come back into the world, so to speak, come back into your own realm. come back into your own realm, you could lose completely sight of what the reality is, what the godly reality is. That's what we said. The shuv is a shuv that follows the rotz, it comes after the rotz. At the time of the rotz, whatever the rotz is, it has been clearly decided in his mind. Sorry, that at whatever the madrega is, Elokus is the only reality. This is what he wants. No matter what his other requirements are, that has to be at the center of his pursuit, of his acceptance. If it is in the shuv, when he has to do Torah mitzvahs, why does he do Torah mitzvahs? Because that's a rotzen eliki. It is not because he's trying to accommodate the world. Hey, you also have to live. That is not what we mean by shuv. Shuv is that which follows the rotzen, except it's in a shuv manner. And as we said, there is a certain depth that the shuv can get, what rotzen cannot get. Therefore, in order to unite these things, these two, there has to be something that unites them in a manner that it's a free flow, where there is no contradiction. It isn't that you go to the shuv and the rotzu is still pulling you the other way, or you go to the rotzu and the shuv is pulling you the other way. There is a perfect union between them. In order to realize a perfect union between these two very different and opposite tendencies, there has to be an amshocha, so to speak, of revelation, revealing an oyer, a light that incorporates both in a manner that it is actually superior to both. It doesn't incorporate both in terms of benefiting from both. It is utilizing both. No, it is something which is higher than both. And automatically both of these tendencies are there included. This is the oyer elyon, the higher oyer. To do justice, so to speak, and to have a full recognition of what we are talking about, we have to also again bring some clarity to the terminology. It says oyer elyon. What is oyer? And the reason we need to remind ourselves of this is due to the fact that here in our worldly experience, oyer is only a facilitator. Oyer is not the real thing. It enables me to see where I'm walking. But mainly what I'm trying to accomplish is walk or get whatever I need to get. Oyer is not something that you pursue per se, for its own sake. This is our world. The reason that our world has that orientation is that our world is primarily choshech. That's how it started. It started from choshech. What does choshech mean? Our world is primarily the tangible aspect, not the visible aspect, which is a spiritual aspect relative to the tangible. There's an apple, and the apple looks. Why are you intruding here? Must be very important. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Yeah, so our understanding of oil is only a facilitator.
He's trying to say something about an apple.
Well, I thought, yeah, that's to finish it. An apple.
Well, no, what's the connection between choshech and tangible?
Very simple. If you're in the dark, how do you identify your environment? And that is actually, so to speak, the reality of the world at the world level itself. As I said, we have an apple. An apple looks very nice. But what do you eat? Its nice appearance, or do you eat the apple? Why do you have an apple in your hand? Because of what it looks like, or because of what it tastes like, or how much it weighs, so to speak? It's a tangible, the tangible thing. That is how things are in this world. It's on the world itself. Light is a novel introduction into the world. As it says in the Pasuk, that's a natural state of the world. It's a separate creation of light. And as we discussed many, many times, and now this is important to understand. In truth, from a godly perspective, in the absolute reality, light is just as real as darkness. As a matter of fact, it is more real than darkness. This is why it says, Hashem said, Vayi oir, Vayar Elokim is ha'oir ki toif. Hashem saw that the oil is toif, not the choshech. What is, just very briefly, what is the toib of oir? The toib of oir is that the oil reveals to us, it brings us the same apple, not as just as a tangible apple, but as a godly creation. It presents us a different apple. That is the oil. This oil, as we said many times, the oil when it was created, the Yom Rishon, didn't have a sound. It was plain godly oil. So we're not going to go any further into this right now. Just want to point out that it says that it's oil elyon. We don't mean oil in the worldly sense, an oil that facilitates the identity of physical, of the tangible. The oil is the oil itself. This is what you actually pursuing, the oil element itself. When you have this oil element, that becomes your major interest, major reality. Not the tangible, not the things that are incorporated in this oil. So, having been learning for all this time, we have pursued this line of thought many times in different circumstances and different levels and so forth. As we pointed out many times, that oil to a human being is synonymous with seichel. This is the physical, this is the spiritual. Seichel is that which reveals, which relates the person to the spiritual, to what seichel can relate to, not the tangible. What is this all about? That's what seichel is. Where is the godly element? As we discussed yesterday. So
we're talking about the higher type of seichel.
The real seichel. Right. seichel from a seichel perspective, not from an animal's perspective. The real seichel.
Which is the nefesh.
This comes from the I'm not going. So, yeah, that's my point. So this, you said when is this Iyar, this is something which the seichel identifies as the reality itself. This is what really makes it real. I mentioned, I started saying this, that once the person's seichel is actually developed, and therefore he is always looking at the oil element of things, at the visible, at the significance of things, rather than their tangibility. So then, what happens is, as you pointed out, that a human being in the dark, when he feels things with his hand by touch, what is he looking for? What is it looking for? What is it looking at? What is its visible element? What is its significance? The animal, when he looks at things in light, what does he see? The tangible. He doesn't have any sense in what the reality is. Okay, so now we are coming to understand how it's like this. So I said we're going to start from the sixth line from the top.
From the bottom.
From the bottom. On your side, at the side. And who to the principle in this is how do we perfectly interrelate two opposites. V'hinei yesh Beis sibos b'inyan ha'iskalus. There are two causes in the principle of hiskalus. Hiskalus means interrelation, inclusion, incorporation. One is as a result, kol koyach, kol mikoyach ha'hafoch. One cause, one thing that one element in the reality of existence that enables his kalulus of two opposites. It is in the fact that really every koyach inherently is kolul, is composed, has as part of its composition koyach ha'afochi, the opposite koyach. This is going to be discussed, so don't just follow through. Keep track, so to speak, of what we say. Because of this inherent incorporation and possession of a koyach ha'afochi, this is what actually connects it to the koyach ha'afochi, to the opposite koyach. So let's just interpret this line. It possesses koyach ha'afochi, so why does it need to be mischaber the koyach ha'afochi? It has it. So this thing that we say that it is composed of koyach ha'afochi, of the opposite koyach, that composition is deep down and very subtle and very concealed. Because on the functional and the most revealed and the experiential level, it is koyach ha'afochi, it is the opposite of it. But inherently, in some deep sense, it has also koyach ha'afochi. And because of this koyach ha'afochi that is deeply inherent and concealed within that koyach, this is what enables it to be mischaber with the actual koyach ha'afochi, that which presents an opposite element. So this will all, Mitzvah Shem, surface in a clear way.
What was the answer? Oh, because it's on a very deep, subtle level.
Right.
Okay, got it.
ומה שכלו מכוח ההפוכים. This inyan that we say, that every koyach, as its ultimate composition, is also has an element, and one of its components is the koyach hahafochi. That is who kasher mischaleg hakoyach lelibei haprotim shebei. This is when the koyach is subdivided and identifying all the various protim, all the various components that are in this koyach. When you break it down to its components, then you find that actually part of its components is actually opposite in them. What is this all about? I just want to give us an interesting introduction to this whole thing. Actually, it's very much more superficial to what we're going to learn, but it's something we should mention all the time. That we, when we talk about light on the simplest, on the lowest level of light, where light is a facilitator for sight, to see physical objects. There, how do you see a physical object? It is not by light. It is by light combining with darkness. If light couldn't combine with darkness, you wouldn't be able to see this physical object. There's all kinds of shading and all that. This is what allows you to see the object. If not for that, you wouldn't be able to see it. If the light couldn't relate to its opposite, then it wouldn't reveal to you, it wouldn't allow you to have any kind of vision. Just to introduce this whole concept. The hine, to explain this in hine, behold, kol koyach, we're saying that when you break it down into its components. What components are you talking about in the koyach? Kol koyach kolu mikol hakoyach. We're short on copies. Kol koyach kolu mikol hakoyach. Every koyach kolu is actually incorporating and is composed of all the koyachs. Gam, this is where we started last time. Gam k'moi shehu poshut. Even at the state where the koyach is poshut, even at the state where the koyach is poshut.
The Ribui Pratim, did you go over that?
What?
The Ribui Pratim, this, I didn't,
You think that's what you're trying to explain?
what is it? Okay.
Kol koyach kol mikol hakoyches. Gam k'moi shehu poshut. And let me finish this line. Oh, yesh boy mikol hakoyches behelam. This meaning that every koyach is kolul of all the koyches. There is on the higher level of the koyach and on the lower level of the koyach. On the lower level of the koyach, when the koyach is already on a functioning level, so we're saying yesh boy mikol hakoyches behelam. Inherent in a subtle way, in a concealed way, unobtrusive way. All the koyches, there is an element of all the koyches within that koyach. This is more lends itself much more to it for our grasp. To write, you have to have the koyach hatnuah in the hand. Can you write with koyach hatnuah? You can't write with koyach hatnuah. To write, you have to have the seichel, the slavish in the koyach. You have to have the midas that enable this whole activity. Every koyach comes into play in this koyach chachshib. You have a difficulty with that?
Yeah. What's the point? You cannot write with the koach hatinua because the koach hatinua is what? It's the lacking seichel midos. That's what we're saying.
Koyach hatinua is
the ability.
No, koyach hatinua. That's the real movement. That's not writing.
Oh, okay. Writing. Yeah. Got it. Okay.
So every a koyach automatically means that all the koyachs are. But nevertheless, when you see somebody write, what are you saying? He is that the seichel is active, the midas are active, the rotzen is active, the oinig is active. No, you're saying he's writing. But the helm in this inyan is contained all the koyachs. This inyan that all the koyachs are contained means literally the koyachs are contained in it, which means not that you have independent koyachs that cooperate and interact. If this were independent koyachs interacting, there would not be such a perfect, smooth and so perfect concentration. It is that the koyach itself, there is an element of oinig, element of rotzen, element of seichel in the koyach per se. This brings to mind for us to understand this a very profound principle that we always point out, that a human being, like we say, how come it takes a child a year and a half to stand up on his fiselach, and have the horse can jump around a half hour after it's born? Because by a person, everything has to go through his seichel, through his intellect. Every activity. And the activity itself is actually a representation of all the koyches. And it can, and it's composed of all the koyches.
That's so clear.
No, doctor?
It was being pointed out that it can be that it's independent koiches, because if it would be just independent koiches, it wouldn't work so in harmony. But it has to be inside that there's something above who controls all the koiches. That's how I understood it. Now I hear that because it's actually all of them are included in one koich.
That's what the Rebbe says. There are two things. And the lower level is Yesh boy mikol hakoiches behelem.
That was the aleph, Siba aleph.
But that's the second thing. The higher level is Meshul Poshut, which we'll have to come back later.
But those 2 points about the child walking. Number one, it has to go through the seichel. Anything that is a human being has to go through the seichel. And number two, the walking itself includes seichel, right? And all the other koyches.
Yeah, well,
Those are two separate points.
No, it's not two separate points. In order for him to walk, there has to be a seichel element in it.
Because he's going somewhere. He has whatever.
A seichel element. This is what a koyach, a human koyach is. By an animal, it's a completely different process. So yesh boy mikol hakoyches behelem. Every koyach there is of all the koyches behelem. This is one inyan, one way of understanding the inyan at kol koyach, kol mikol hakoyches. Then we skipped this, the first presentation. Gam k'moy shehu poshut. Even the koyach as it in its poshut state. Now, poshut state means the koyach in essence. What does an essence mean? All the koyches as we are observing is called the ha'ora, the functional aspect of the koyach. When the koyach is able to be mislabish in the hand, in a keli, and transmit and be guided into a certain action. Despite the fact that a child, in order to walk, has to practice walking. The practicing walking, this is on a functional level. But in essence, there is this element of halich in the soul of this child inherently. When the child practices walking and becomes an expert walker, it is not just representing a good training. It represents a healthy human being.
Something essential that's coming.
Something essential what a human being is.
So when you say inherent within the seichel, even for its manifest, inherent in what?
Inherent in his nefesh. In the seichel, it's already defined. Seichel is part of the training process. In the nefesh itself. Inherent in the nefesh. This is why we're pointing out all the time. He has to understand that no matter what it takes to train and to learn a certain activity, even seichel, in midas and everything, there is the reality of the human nefesh. The reason that the human being is a sichli and everything goes through the seichel, because his nefesh is sichli. This is what it says that the nefesh ha'odom, the nefesh is higher than the nefesh hamalach. Malachim, there's certain malachim, malachim sichlim, or doesn't sichlim. Derech klam, malachim are not sichlim. Malachim are based in midas. Chai is hakodesh. The nefesh ha'odom is sichli, which is a really unique category in the entire existence. What is sichli? Sichli means that, take it on a simple level, and that we can project to the reality, that before I do anything, before I have a midah, for anything that I lean towards, it has to be firstly identified as a truth, as a reality. Like we're repeating all the time the Rambam. The Rambam says, what is the foundation of seichel, of chokhmah? Is that there is a first being. Mamsikol nimtzu. What's the correlation? Why can't you understand things, how they operate api seichel, independent of where they come from? The answer is that if they are just operating by cause and effect within their own realm, seichel can relate to that. It's okay, the behemoth can live with that. Seichel needs to know, where does it come from? What is it about? And this is where the first being comes into play. This substantiates the seichel. Because there's a first being, that means that everything is rooted in this one source, and this is why they interact. This is why there's cooperation. This is why that's what seichel. What's seichel? Seichel is to understand the interrelationship of things. Why is there an interrelationship? This is not just convenient. This is the truth of the interrelationship, because they all come from the same source. This is where seichel comes. This is what the Rambam says. The side of seichel is that there is a first being. Mamchik ol nimtza. So this is the pshat. Okay. So now coming to the thing that gam kemishu poshut, every koyach. I have to clarify. When we say the nefesh is sichli, there are two different. It's a different level than saying that the human being is a sichli. Human being is a sichli. This is when the koyches are already on the functional and revealed koyach, revealed level. The nefesh is sichli. This is going back to the very essence of the nefesh. So, mitzad, but the nefesh, the nature of the essential in of the nefesh. Okay, and in order, step back a moment. In order for us to understand, we always mention, we speak about the etzem. The etzem hakoyach. There is no etzem, essence in the world. In the world, everything is functional, is a ha'ara. No such thing as an etzem. The reason that we can speak about etzem hakoyach is only because it is a godly provision. Only because it's an essential truth from where it comes from.
To be able to talk about it as a godly provision?
Huh?
To be able to talk about it as a godly provision?
No. The minute to be able to talk about it, we're not talking about it. We're talking about something that's real. The reason it's real, because there is an essential thing, essence, is only because it's a godly provision. There's an nefesh, you are alive. So life, we say, is an essential, is an essence. It's not an essence on a functional level. It's an essence because there is a godly reality behind it. What is the pasuk say? Vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim. He blew into his neshama in neshama of chayim. This vayipach, the Alter Rebbe explains, means that the truth, the godly truth, is still blowing into his life, giving him life continuously. This is a godly presence, and this is why it's a real life. So essence, we need to understand that essence is the godly presence itself. Then we say that there is a koyach that's on the level of pshutus, gam k'mishu v'poshu. Since that the nefesh is an essence, it's a nefesh ha'olam. Therefore, all the human capabilities that eventually surface are surfacing from the truth of that knowledge. It's not just something that is acquired by practice and by training. Just to give us a simple illustration of this, and a deeper of it is great depth, but just a simple illustration. Everybody had that experience when you are trying to understand a certain concept, and someone is trying to explain it to you, and you go in debate and ask questions back and forth, and then suddenly you say, "Oh, I see. Oh, I see. I just showed it to you. Just now found out about it." No, you don't find out anything on that level. The finding out was only that with all the gyrations and all the trials and all the challenges that opened up a window into your seichel, your essential seichel. And only that which touches your essential seichel you really fully accept. That's what I see. I see. I see. I see means you're not convincing me of anything. I see it myself. You only enabled me to see it. But I see. This is mine. That's what I see.
Meaning I understand. I see it, I understand.
Okay, I think it's clear. Understand means already I have a means by which I understand. I have proof. So I see means I don't need proof anymore. This is it. This is the truth. I see the point. Where do you get that ability to say I see? It's a new idea, because really, I just say all the time, a cop can put a head on somebody's shoulder. The reason that we undertake, that we debate and we learn and we try to understand is because we already have a head. And this head is populated by all the koiches from the nefesh itself. And ultimately, all the koiches have in the nefesh element. Therefore, we have to understand that there is the highest level of the koyach is called koyach meishu poshut. Poshut means undefined. If it's undefined, how is it a koyach? The principle is that the nefesh has an essential reality. The essential reality, as we say, is yechida. It knows only of the nefesh. But the nefesh also has the ability, inherently, to express that reality. And it expresses reality through seichel, through midas, through machshava dibur u'maaseh, and through all kinds of combinations of those. We all know that, for instance, midas, there are 7 midas, there are 49 midas. The truth is there are unlimited midas. All of these various combinations, various means of expression, are inherent in the nefesh. How do we relate to that statement, inherent in the nefesh? We relate to that statement quite simply. No matter what a person learns to do, and finally, so to speak, relates to it and understands it, and it may be something that is completely foreign, a day ago was completely foreign to him. Once he really understands it, he will be completely at home with it. He will not feel something superimposed upon him. A human being cannot live in a superimposed environment. He cannot be trained like a horse, do this. Like we said the other day, when a horse is taking his master to shul, he's not taking the master to shul, he's just walking through the ground. An eved, a slave, when he drives his master to shul, he's driving him to shul. He's not just covering ground. He knows what he's doing. There's no other way for him to do it. And this is why if you deprive him of that sense that he's doing something, like in Mitzrayim, throw the earth back, he's in pain. Because that's his reality. When he's doing something, he feels there is a full-fledged activity. This means, this is pshat, that the koyach, there is an element, that level of the koyach that's called kam koyach poshut, which is the way it is in the nefesh. It's much above the functional element. By the time it becomes functional, it becomes something what's called the ha'ora. It's slavish in the goof and so forth. So the principle to understand here, 2 words: gam kmeishu poshut. Even the koyach, the pure koyach, even at the state as it is poshut, which means before it is functional. On the functional level, as we pointed out, of course you have to have all the koiches. You can't write without employing the seichel and the midas and everything else. But when you talk about on the pshitas level, it's not going to do with the functional, practical level. So why do you need all the other koiches? Maybe it's just the koyach, pure koyach. There's not. Gam kvish u poshut, even in its purest state, it is also called from all the koiches. What does this mean? V'zehu, and that is kalalus. Mitzad his kalalus kulam b'ho'etzem. It is due to the fact that all the koiches are miskalel. All the koiches are incorporated, are contained in the etzem itself. Before their koiches. The etzem, the essence itself, which bears and represents all of them.
What was the reason you just explained why it says Gam Kumar?
I just explained. Gam Kumar, even when it's poshut, it's not. There is no evidence at all that there are other koiches in there. It's just purely this koich, poshut. But even at that state, it is also a call from all the koiches.
That was because it is from the essence.
And the reason that it is called for all the koiches is because it is kalus, because they're all the koiches are called in the etzem. Shenoise yeskulam, that bears all the koiches. I'll go into it and try to explain it. As far as we can follow.
We had this phrase in the Iyar also.
Yeah. So Noisha Eskulam, yeah.
I have a from my perspective, I have a perfect analogy in neuroscience. I now leave it for later to discuss it. It's mamish bull, exactly what.
Go ahead.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I was discussing it last night with a Moscow knife, and then even in the morning on the car I was talking to Shlomo about it. Today we find that people have a stroke all later. In rehabilitation they say you should work very hard because you can retrain you. This is going back 6 years ago, even more than 6 years ago. That in my research, there's two shittas. One shitta is that that there's neurons in the brain which are not working yet, so you can awaken them, and they can use that to recreate, let's say, movement, whatever it is. The second shitta, which I couldn't help myself, which I was espousing yesterday and this morning before I came here, is that the second sheet, which is through research, is that each koyach in the brain can really, even as, let's say, it's only used now to sing, the part of the brain region for super well to sing. But if, let's say, someone doesn't have a power of tnuah, of movement, what have you, you can, each neuron, each cell in the brain really, in essence, can form all the functions. Until now, we have
stem cells.
Yeah. Plasticity. Takes a new function.
Even beyond stem cells, as they are already present in the brain, that through training, you can take a brain, a cell, a neuron, and use it for another function, because inherently it's really multifaceted. We use it only for one thing, but if we need it, so it's the same idea that each thing has a scholars. Is that a good? To me, it's a wonderful apple.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Making out?
No, that is correct. It's correct. It is correct. We have to understand that it's correct. That means that even on a physical level, which means the goof, which is specifically a receptacle for the neshama, has, in order to be a separate with the Neshama, it has to have a similarity to the Neshama.
Right, and the most able part,
And this
which
is where the
this
similarity
neuron,
is.
that's-
Because in order to receive the Neshama, it has to have a pshitus in itself. Otherwise,
Right.
it couldn't
kind
join.
How do we? You explained that the Koach HaPashut is that the nefesh itself. The nefesh itself has the Koach. I didn't catch exactly how that makes it talks about the Koach in its pure form. I didn't quite catch
Okay, what did you want to say?
Just what he was talking about, I want to ask before, but I wanted to short
Yeah.
sum it up. We spoke there's a nefesh asichli, and then we spoke that there's koiches for seichel limits. So in short, I understand there's a difference that the eitzam nefesh asichli, and then the nefesh has a koich of seichel limits. What's the line?
Very briefly, okay, this is not what we're involved in. I brought it in because of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, it said. Beis Shammai were rooted in Midas HaGvura, Sfiras HaGvura, and Beis Hillel were rooted in Sfiras HaChesed. And because of that, Beis Shammai had a tendency towards Gvura, and Beis Hillel had a tendency towards Chesed. Now this tendency, does this mean that Beis Hillel did not have in the Midas HaGvura, and Beis Shammai didn't have in its Midas HaChesed? No. Doesn't mean that at all. This is on a much higher level. This is where even the Seichel itself had a tendency. But surely, after the Seichel, it translated into all the Midas. In Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, by all of them. Because Seichel incorporates all the Midas. The fact that it's rooted in Sfiras HaChesed and Sfiras HaGvura, gave the Seichel a tendency. It's a completely different level.
So when you say the nefesh
This
is
is
sichli,
the
this is
similar Indian. It's not nefesh sichli, because nefesh ha'odem is rooted in ma, in Chabad l'mayla, not in mitzvah. That's it.
When you say the nefesh is essential, the nefesh essentially is sichli. Are you midayak and shemus? Nefesh, not neshama, saying nefesh, you midayak in this?
No. Nefesh ha'odem, no, I'm not.
Just general.
General, yeah. This is even true about the nefesh habahamis. Nefesh habahamis also has
Of odom.
All right. Why is every koil of all the koiches, even in its pashut state? I'm sorry. I have to. The pashut state of the koiches is that the nefesh inherently has a task. The task of the nefesh is to be megala koiches. A task. It has a job. It has a purpose. It is truly it's godly, and it represents a godly element. But nefesh is noisy koiches. Nefesh bears koiches automatically, because the nefesh was created in order to be megala elokus. Therefore, all the koiches are inherent in the nefesh.
in that state that there?
What?
Why would I think in that state that there would be a difficulty in them putting one another more? We're saying even in the pure state, why in that state?
Because if it's a koyach poshut, which means that this is purely that koyach, not in order to fulfill a certain act. Like I said, in order to write, you have to know what to write. The seichel has to tell what to write. But the ability to write per se, which is even poshut in the nefesh, doesn't need any seichel, doesn't need anything else. So that's what he said. The inyan that gam mishu poshut yesh when we call hakoyches behela or yesh gam mishu poshut it's kolum mikol hakoyches even on the pshitas, or it is behela. There's two different levels of the koyach. Zehu mitzad hayiskalus kulam behoetz. It is because of the fact that all of the koyches are incorporated in the etzem shenoise yeskulo, that actually bears all the koyches. We'll try to give it a little bit of a handle. This is comparable to what is known as the choimer horisha. The first choimer means material. The first presence, material from which everything else can be fashioned. So choimer horisha, shenoise yadale tzuris, that bears, which means it permits for all four forms, shehein adale disoides, which are the four elements, fundamental elements, eish, ruach, mayim, and ofer. Ali deizeh, as a result of that, because that each one of the Daled Yesodis has as its base the Chomer Horisha. As a result of that, yes, b'chol Yesod gam ha'yesod ha'afoch. This is why in every Yesod there is also over the opposite Yesod. To get a handle on this on a superficial level, but then we have to, after we get a handle on this on superficial, we have to strip it of all the slapshus, all the definitions. There was a tzimtzum. Everybody knows about this, right? The tzimtzum. The tzimtzum in Oirei Soif. In Oirei Soif, there is no room for world. There's no possibility of world. World. There was a tzimtzum in Oirei Soif. And what was the accomplishment? What did the tzimtzum affect? Nase cholol u'mokim ponui. That's created a vacancy and a mokim ponui and an available space. Mokim ponui. Now we spoke about it a little bit in the past. I want to focus in on the term mokim ponui. What is the difference between cholol and mokim ponui? Hollow means just a vacancy that does not represent anything. It is not begging. Vacancy does not beg, come fill me up. It's a hollow. It doesn't stand for anything. Mokoim is different. Mokim means a place. Which means, yes, this is a place, and it needs to be used. That's what a place is. There's an expression that says, Yesh mokim leimer, there is room to say. What's it, yesh room? It begs to be explored and defined. This is not just plain nothingness. This is a mokim for world, which means there is provision. This means mokim pomer, provision for world. Not just the ability to do anything you want, like a cholo. There's provision for world. It's a fundamental difference. What is the fundamental difference? We can sense it, but I just want to bring it out. If you build something in a hollow, your building and the place where you built it have no correlationship. There's nothing obstructing you, nothing preventing you from going there, so you go there. You have no real shaykhs there. There's no correlation. And therefore, no matter how long and how much you occupy this thing, you don't become part of that environment because you don't relate to it in the first place. You were there because you went there. The place itself is not accommodating you. Mokim pon is a different concept. Mokim pon means there's accommodations for whatever can be done there that accommodates it. I want to point out a shocking thing. Not a shocking, disturbing, but a clear revelation of what we owe our world. We have now a clear dichotomy between the creationists and the evolutionists. What is the fundamental difference? Who created what? Does the world belong here or it doesn't belong? Did the world usurp? Poof. Do me something. Throw me out. I'm here. But you have no meaning. Okay, it doesn't mean. Or is the world a creation? It belongs there. And it actually relates to the mokum that was provided for. It has to be there. And it is there at peace with the mokum. The mokum is not trying to get rid of it.
Trying to get rid of what?
The mokum.
The mokum is not trying to get rid of that which occupies it.
Oh.
The whole philosophy of the evolutionist is that nothing belongs where it is, and it's constantly sensing its vulnerability.
Survival of the fittest.
It's constantly sensing its vulnerability. It doesn't have a base of being, so it's trying to constantly. The whole development is based on assuring its continued existence. That's what it develops. It means that it doesn't have a basis for being. But a mokum pon, no, nothing is vulnerable. Nothing feels out of place. It has absolutely it's welcome to where it is. Where does it get that welcome? From the Creator. It gets its spirit and it gets its right to be because the Creator gave it the right to be.
Rabbi Paltiel?
Yes, sir.
So according to the way you're explaining it here, why is it that cholul, which seems to have a complete negative impact in the process of the tzimtzum, the cholul actually preceded the makom plani. It was like a basis for the makom plani.
This is the difference between klipa and kedusha.
People couldn't hear his question.
But he's asking, makom cholul precedes the cholul u'makom plani. The makom plani comes after the cholul. That's right, because this is the klipa, this is the oil matoyo and matikun. As far as we're going to this, I'm not interested in the cholol because we want to understand what we're talking about, the koiches and how they're rooted in etzem. That it's true. The cholol preceded because this is the klipa, this is the mitzias without a purpose.
He's saying this is like olam hatoyu.
Olam hatoyu precedes el matikun. Let's leave it at that. The main thing is to understand the mokum ponui. That's the important thing. This mokum ponui, there is not any limit in this mokum ponui. That every spot of the mokum ponui can accommodate everything and has everything. What is this? There was a tzimtzum and nasa cholol mokim pon. So it says, atzmus cannot be nisamtzum. The tzimtzum is in the oil. This we learned already many times. So therefore, if there was a tzimtzum and the oil was retracted, what remained? The atzmius of the oil. So in that atzmius of the oil, there actually was everything. And this is what provided for the mokim ha'oil. And in that, etzem noishe is hakol. And this is the chomer horisha. She noishe adal tzurish and adal yisoides. In every yisoid there is a yisod ha'afoch. Because the mokum pone provides for everything, and every spot the mokum pone provides for everything, no matter what actually surfaced there, what actually it was used for.
The tzimtzum was still there after the tzimtzum, and that's what provided for. You're saying that's what creates that accommodation.
Yeah. Everything is rooted in the chomer horish.
Chomer horish, you're saying is synonymous with makom panoi?
What?
Chomer horish is like
right, like a makom panoi. This is chomer horish. The Rambam said speaks about Beis. That'll be it for that. Rak shehu behelem ma'oid. Except that this incorporation and inclusion of all aspects, of all the koiches, of all the detail, all the isoides, at that state is behelem ma'oid, is in very great concealment, deep she'eino nikor klal, that cannot be recognized at all. All right. This will be it for this morning.
Rabbi, you're saying the makom panai created accommodation, and my question was the etzem, which was not mitzamtzim, created accommodation. You're saying that's the same thing?
But that's what remains after the tzimtzum.
The makom panai is etzem.
Is represented in the etzem.
Represented.
That which could not be nisamtzim, that's what remained.
Chaimer Arishon is on a lower level though. There's the Daled Yisoides, right? It's the same Inyan as the Makom Pana, but the Makom Pana is much easier.
The Chaimer Rishon is really after the Maimer, after Bereshis.
And that's where we said Yesh Beis Sibos Be'inyan Hiskalulus. Aleph we got Beis we got into.
What?
That's 6 lines.
The first one.
Yeah.
Yesh Kalus.
Aleph who call the Beis we didn't get to.
First one is still in the call.
Kol Koyach is
Kol Koyach Kol
First
Mekeh
one is still
Hafo.
in the call.
Yeah, that was we're still in this.
We're still inside that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call ended?
Yeah.
Okay,
We didn't get to the second.
And Beis will come.
Right.
Okay.
This is the other one is Mitzad the Oyer Al. Which we
Which
didn't get.
mentioned, we mentioned, but we didn't.
We didn't. Right.
That's the Shalom. That's the
That's the Oyer Alien.
Shachat and Torah.
Okay.
I typed that line.
You added a line here?
Yeah, it's before the do. Before the do.
I see you
You
have to
added
work
this?
hard.
Guess it's right to
Ah,
be
yeah.
from the creator?
Yeah,
It's
this
welcome
is
here.
the worlds. Yeah,
This Pasha thing is a phenomenal
the
point.
world gets it right there.
Phenomenal point.
Can you pass me my hat, please?
Only have to ask a few more
I
questions.
like it.
They're hard-working men.
Thank you.
That's the thing, it's listening to this
Mikol